So evidence-based practices, let's go into the fun stuff. Well, the first one's not as fun. The other one, I'm gonna have more stories and it's more visually appealing. But the first one is one of the ones that are close to my heart because I know this is not happening to the level of fidelity that it should. And I know that BCBAs, Board Certified Behavior Analysts, have an opportunity to hopefully do more work within the realm of FBAs. I'm in the midst of publishing a training manual and a document that I can use with other BCBAs and school staff to more comprehensively assess a learner and their settings with fidelity. So my FBAs look a little different, and I hope to be able to share more of that in the near future with everybody. So we kind of talked already about aggression with ASD. A lot of times an FBA will be done by a BCBA. I just kind of want to give you guys the little snapshot of how many of you have heard what a BCBA is? Have you heard that title? Okay. So a BCBA is a Board Certified Behavior Analyst. I am certified to practice applied behavior analysis. How many of you have heard of ABA? Okay. So ABA is the science of human behavior, and what we do is we'll assess a specific behavior and figure out why it's happening, or a behavior and figure out why it's not happening enough. For instance, like independence, right? If we're out in the job world, I've done FBAs to figure out why somebody needed a job coach for every step of the way on how to complete tasks. So we developed a plan to increase the level of independence. I've done FBAs for the kids that are storming out of the room in math class because they don't want to do the work, or maybe it's attention seeking, and the FBA helps to figure that out. So a BCBA is licensed by the BACB. It's so many acronyms. And so this is our governing board. In Ohio, we are overseen by the State Board of Psychology, and we then obtain the Certified Ohio Behavior Analyst licensure. Certification. It essentially works as a license, but it's a certification in Ohio. So we'll address socially significant behaviors. You'll see why this fits with the BCBA evidence-based practice. And I promise the other ones are way more fun. So socially significant behavior is a behavior that's interfering with the person's learning. Sometimes on an IEP, the team will check off that a behavior is interfering with their learning or learning of that of others. In that case, it's likely a socially significant behavior. So again, I'm not just talking about aggression where they're physically throwing things across the room or hurting people or SIB or having tantrums. I'm also talking about those annoying bump in the road behaviors that are still interfering with their learning or their ability to socialize. And I've had families when we meet with them in the home where mom cannot go to Target on a weekend or go to any grocery store and get food for the family. That's inhibiting their day-to-day life. Because now mom needs to plan for dad to come home, and if dad works third shift, it's really hard, or if family is out of town, they don't have support, and now mom's stuck at home, and now the kids are stuck at home, and now they're bored, and like we've all loved like one snow day, but put 3 together and we're going gaga, and then we've got the behaviors, right? So in that case, maybe the socially significant behavior is we need to address how to bring Johnny to the grocery store or Target to go shopping with mom and get those needs met. It might be health and hygiene. Maybe they don't like the way I'm just trying to think of like different things that I've seen. We've seen so many different things in these years. Maybe they don't like to brush their teeth and now they're getting cavities. Well, that's a very significant behavior because now it's leading to a health issue. So we need to address that. So these are some of the domains that we might assess that socially significant behavior can fall into. So what is an FBA? It's an assessment. It is an assessment that helps guide us to figure out why that interfering behavior is happening. I look at it differently in a comprehensive manner. I can't say what the name is now, but we just came up with it and it's in publication. But maybe my next talk will be the new way to do the FBAs. So what we do is it's a very systematic way of figuring out why that interfering behavior is happening. And once we do that, we then can develop a behavior intervention plan to address that behavior or that need and reinforce the desire. So when we talk about behaviors, we could talk about topography or we could talk about function. Like let's use the tantruming as an example, right? I'm gonna have a tantrum and I'm gonna spit and I'm gonna stamp my feet and scream and embarrass mom in the middle of Target, right? And this is why mommy can't go to Target. Well, through the FBA process, we're gonna figure out why those tantrums are happening. We can describe a tantrum lots of different ways. I'm not gonna go into crazy details with this. I just wanna give you guys a glimpse because it's gonna be applicable to the next couple evidence-based practices too. So we can describe that tantrum in form. Stomping feet. It looks like them hitting. It looks like them banging on the table, coming up and screaming at you. That's the topography. It's what we see, it's the shape of the behavior, it's what it looks like, what we hear. Then we could talk about it in its function, and that's the why. Sorry, I don't mean to touch the screen. It's moving around. The function's the why, and that's what we learn through the FBA process. And that's where we figure out, is it an attention? Oh, here, actually. This one here, the 4 functions. There are other terms that we'll use, but essentially there's 4 main reasons why behaviors happen. This is desirable behaviors and interfering behaviors. It could meet a sensory need, which is an automatic reinforcer. Like, I'm drinking coffee right now to stay awake, and I guess it's kind of socially mediated because it's being awake for you don't want somebody sleeping, but it feels good and I'm doing this and I'm kind of like reinforcing myself by drinking the coffee. That would be a sensory need. Another, not always, but I'm going to overgeneralize right now. A classic might be like somebody who's self-stimming. A lot of times that might be coming from a sensory-based need. So it has nothing to do with the work demands or mom making you sit at the dinner table. This just feels good and I'm gonna do this even if I'm sitting by myself. The research shows that that's sensory, also known as automatic reinforcement. Escape and attention and tangible are all socially mediated. So it's all related to other people in the environment giving them something or taking something away. So those are the 4 functions in a gist. I could talk for an hour and a half about functions. We're not gonna do that. Just kind of want to explain it because when I show you visual schedules later, you'll see how it works and how some of them are function specific, and you need the FBA in order to identify what that function is. Does this make sense? Am I talking too fast? Because I tend to get overexcited about this topic. Okay, good. So I kind of already talked about this. We know the FBA is the assessment that tells us what we need to do for the plan and why that behavior happens. And it's an evidence-based practice. The research shows that if an individual is engaging in an interfering behavior, the FBA is the best way to figure out why. But it's not mandated. On IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, for somebody who's a school ager 5 through 22, it's not mandated to always have an FBA done if we check off that little section on the special factors page. It kind of is if you're considering an outside placement, but that's a whole other thing. But I know that it should be done, and it should be done more often with fidelity too. Oh, here's the laws too, actually. So New York is the only state requiring the FBA when the behavior impedes the learning. I thought that was pretty interesting. I was actually shocked to read that. I mean, good for New York, personally, but what I don't like is that they're still not mandating who does the FBA and what kind of training does that person need. So, is this valid? Is this providing us with the information that truly shows what we wanted to learn and what we need to learn about who this learner is? This learner's like sitting right here.